All right, Matt, let's first start off on how cruel the NCAA tournament can be. Why is that?
Anytime like you raise your expectations in a program or in a season, there's simply that, right? You know, your fan base, college basketball, whatever, expects you to do better. They expect you to advance. And then when you don't, you know, it's what they love. Not your fan base, they don't love it, but everybody else loves it because that's what makes the tournament so unpredictable. It's what makes it special. You know, that's why when you face low to mid-major teams on a neutral court in those venues, you know, now it's not the same as playing them on a neutral court in an MTE or somewhere else. It just isn't. You know, there's more. It's the end of the season. It's win or go home, and it makes it exciting, but it really puts, from an expectation standpoint, a little bit more of that pressure or that burden on the team with the higher seed.
You're not the first, you won't be the last, not just as a 16-1, but also to win a conference tournament.
Right.
And we've seen this multiple years, even in the Big Ten.
Right.
All that emotion, all that excitement, Selection Sunday, you win it, and then 4 days later, it's over.
Yeah.
Just like that. How do you describe that swing?
Well, it's the one thing as a coach that you understand. Like, you've been knocked off in the quarterfinals of the conference tournament, and it helps you in the NCAA tournament get that edge. Now you win the conference tournament, or maybe even get to the finals of your conference tournament and lose, but yet you've played those 3 games in a row. That's what, as a coach, when you go in the NCAA tournament, that's what we do, is we want to keep that edge. But now you're fighting human behavior a little bit. And you're not fighting human behavior a little bit, you're fighting it, period. And so now you got to try to get your team ready and try to get them on edge, still doing their job when they just had a lot of success. So we won 5 games in a row going into the NCAA tournament, and then you have that letdown and you lose, and people look at you like what in the hell's going on? And that's all you were trying to stop. So like that kind of shows you, what really mounts at that time if you get into one of those pressure cooker type games.
And so you haven't just had it in the first round. It's happened obviously deeper in the tournament,
right,
against a one bid league team.
Right.
What is it about those matchups, whether it's in the first round, the Elite Eight, the
right,
Sweet 16, that's so hard and so much pressure for that higher ranked, higher profile team?
Well, for us, it's turning the basketball over, to get down to the functionality of the game. Like, don't turn the basketball over. So I always talk about, if you have a high volume of turnovers, you take a lot of threes and you shoot a low percentage, it doesn't matter when the game is or where the game is or who it's against, you're going to have a real tough time winning. And that's what we've done in those last 2 games where we've lost, is we've turned it over, we've struggled from 3. But if, we've become a really good offensive rebounding team. If you're getting quality shots and you're not making it, you're still generating some points. You're also setting your defense because you're taking good shots. But if you're turning it over, you're not getting a crack at it, you're not getting a chance to rebound, and it's a tougher position to be in from transition defense standpoint. So it's more than just one aspect of the game. It ends up being about 3 aspects of the game.
When you had time to sort of decompress over it, who did you, if anyone, seek counsel of just how to navigate what you've gone through?
Yeah. Oh, you don't seek counsel as much as you sit in it. You gotta allow it to let you be miserable. I know that's a crazy thing to say, right? There's a little bit of coaching to where misery, because losing is misery, can get you on edge. I talked earlier about, human behavior. It's just a natural, normal human behavior. It's why you see the old crusty coach. You're like, man, why is he that way? Because he's trying to stop losing. He doesn't want anybody to slip. He doesn't want that. So we know that. When we win, we know it's building up. And so we can't let it build up because we want to stay on edge. And then when you do lose, now when you turn around and play again, you've become on edge. That's easy. So you think okay, you're going to lose, the coach is going to go crazy. Well, naturally, if you have competitive people, they're going to get that way. But when you lose in the tournament, there isn't another game. You go home. So now you got to sit in it for 6 to 7 months. And you don't think about winning the conference championship. You don't think about winning the tournament. You just think about that game. and that's the only thing they'll allow you to think about. So it really allows you to peel back the onion and look at things. And as we've peeled back the onion, we've looked at a lot of things in terms of what we've done well. We've done a lot of things well on both ends of the court, and we got to continue to do those things. Now, we think from a personnel standpoint, we can get some help from an athletic standpoint, from a quickness standpoint, but we shouldn't go away from all those positive things that we've been able to accomplish. But if you want it to like subside, then you're probably in the wrong profession. It's not going to subside. It's going to stay with you. And hopefully it burns a hole in you to where, like, you know, that's your motivating factor to be able to advance further in the tournament the next year.
How do you think Tony Bennett handled it?
Probably the same way, because he doesn't have a choice. Like, you don't have a choice. It's not what you're not picking to be that way. You're wired that way. And so obviously he's a great coach. He's a great person. Everybody doubts themselves, whether you want to say that or not. Like, you're just going to have doubt that comes in to your mind, and that's why I talked about the reference to peeling back the onion. You got to peel back the onion and see if that doubt's real or not real in terms of how you're going about things. But I think it's very healthy to talk about it. I don't think it's something like you're like, hey, we're going to put that away. That's like what for us. It's not isolated. We've had 2 of those losses. We got beat by North Texas before that. We've gotten beat by Arkansas, Little Rock. You know, so we've had those losses, you know, in the NCAA tournament. I don't think it's an approach of where people don't respect the other team, because I know they do. I know the coaching staff does. So that's not one of those things where like, hey, we're looking past this opponent to get to this. No, not in the NCAA tournament. No way. And there's just too many examples of where this has happened. Everybody earns their way into that tournament. We've had the utmost respect for them, but he had to sit in it, and they obviously did something about it. We're one of the teams that, you know, they beat us. Like, bring that one up, right? Like, that's great to think about also, because we did a lot of great things at the end of that game, and it didn't go our way. Just keep sitting in that mud puddle. And just keep fighting to get back in that. See, what people don't understand is you don't start your season in that situation. You got to earn it again to get back to where it is. Like, that's an unbelievable accomplishment for our program to be a number 1 seed. I mean, that's pretty cool. And so now we got to fight to get, you know, another really, really high seed. So you go back into the process. You know, you don't start your season, you know, in the NCAA tournament. You don't start your season playing 20 conference games. You know, you start your season playing non-conference with a little bit of conference sprinkled in there, and now you got to keep growing. And but we've faced the ultimate adversity, and so we just got to keep using that as a motivating factor to get back in that position and play better.
To that point, you guys have had tremendous regular seasons, conference tournaments, and obviously great runs like that Virginia run before you lost to them in that game. At what point do you stop and appreciate what this program and what you have accomplished, regardless of those upset losses?
I think you get that way when your career is over. When you keep going, you don't. Like, you want to do better. Like, you know, we've been to 14 out of 16 tournaments. Like, I could go on and on about some of the accomplishments, but it doesn't really matter. We got to do better. I got to coach better. I got to prepare better. They got to play better. And so that's all you're really searching for. Like, what you're proud of is how you go about it, because we haven't taken any shortcuts. I think that's where I'm the most proud, is that we've recruited really good guys from really good families. We've come together and we've battled and we've competed. I think we've been to 5 or 6 Sweet 16s, been to 1 Elite 8, but we haven't, you know, I don't sit around like shining the trophies or whatever from going to Sweet 16 or winning the league. Like, is it cool? Like, yeah, but like we want to go further. And so we want to keep using that as motivation. And, you know, we feel like we're in a great position right now.
One last thing on Zach. It's been decades since someone has won back-to-back National Player of the Year honors, in large part because they don't come back.
Correct.
If they win Player of the Year, they're off to the next thing. Obviously, in the NBA, we're in a new era. What is it about Zach Edey that he wanted to come back to play for you and to play for Purdue at least one more season?
Well, it's pretty cool. Obviously, the landscape of name, image, and likeness allowed him to do so. Like, you know, you can't forget that. I think he enjoys college. He enjoys being at Purdue. He appreciates being there. He wasn't a guy at 15 years old, that was the next coming. He wasn't playing organized basketball at 15 years old. So I think it's great to be hopefully be the next since I think Ralph Sampson, I think Bill Walton did it. But if you look at Virginia at that time and you look at obviously UCLA or whatever, that's winning. Like, can he be the National Player of the Year again? Yeah, but we got to win. Like, we're not, if we go 20-11, he's not the National Player of the Year. So I think with that success and that team success, when you have the dominant numbers that he had last year, he was the National Player of the Year. I don't think there's any argument with that. He got all the awards, and if he wants to do that again, it's being as productive, if not more productive, but keep winning. I think when you do those things, those individual awards will come with it.
And lastly on that, he clearly has talked about how the way last season ended, that's also driving him. Yeah. What's been that conversation?
Well, we've had those conversations more as a team than anything. Like, we're using that, turn that negative into a positive, use it as our silver lining, for this season. The whole goal is to get better, to improve, not just like Zach, but, collectively. We did some really, really good things, and that's what sometimes gets lost, is that you do good things and sometimes you have a bad result. But over the course of time, if that happened 100 times, what would your percentage be? And blackjack or poker or whatever, you get that figured out real quick, right? And or they're going to get into your wallet. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, you want to know that. A little bit harder to quantify in basketball, but the success rate of doing things a certain way is going to put you in that position. Sometimes it's not a guaranteed win, but it puts you in a better position to have the opportunity to win. Our guys understand that. And after going through and dissecting things, we're not looking at things like, hey, man, we were doing a lot of things wrong. We just got to keep getting better at what we do.